This Old Gamer is paid for by contributions by viewers like you, and by...
You've worked hard and lived a long life, and now things are just not working properly in the bedroom. Maybe it's time to talk to your doctor about Bonaire. Bonaire Male Enhancement and Energy is a supplement that will help you get through your day and make the most of your later years.
Always consult a doctor before starting new medicine. There is a chance, although we are not sure the percentage of that chance, that Bonaire will lead to death. Don't take Bonaire if you take Tylenol, ibuprofen, Advil, or aspirin, as that may be very, very bad. Bonaire's active ingredient is highly addicting, and its use can lead to additional addiction, including smoking, gambling, and social media. The worst of those being social media. In a clinical study, Bonaire killed 32 of 100 men over the age of 100. In that same study, Mike spilt his coffee on some other important documents, and they were ruined. With all male enhancement drugs, a chance of a blood clot in your willy is possible. If that happens, just enjoy your last minutes, knowing you achieved what you thought was impossible. Generally speaking, Bonaire does not mix well. Bonaire is a prescription drug. Do not buy Bonaire from the guy outside of Speedway.
Maybe it's time you talk to your doctor about crossing that bridge to a new life. Talk to your doctor today about prescription Bonaire. Bonaire, a fossil company.
Hello there!
Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Cities with John. I'm This Old Gamer and I'm thrilled to have you along for the ride today as we are all set for Downtown episode 28. This is exciting. It's been a while and I am glad to be back with my usual Cities with John episodes. And why is it called Cities with John? Well, John is my real name. That's why. Is it ever going to change? Probably, because it's a really confusing title, isn't it? Oh boy. I'm sure a lot of you, maybe first time viewers, are going, well, what? How many titles does this guy have? I have a lot. One title is TIFO maker for Louisville City. And I have a tremendous group of individuals that help make TIFOs, and I am in no way, shape, or form the best artists we have, but I really enjoyed this TIFO making process. But I've been very, very busy with that, and I do apologize for not putting out too much content. I try to put out a lot of content, but it's just really hard. Today's episode is all about the zoo. And what better way to start working on a zoo than not doing anything with the zoo? Actually, this has to do with the zoo. This is going to be very close to the zoo, a very large parking garage. So I figured we're going to need more parking down here and downtown. And I also built this Residence Inn right here on the corner, this busy corner of, where is this? I don't know where it's at. This is actually still Grand Avenue. Going along the side of Grand Avenue here. But this parking garage will be kind of across the street. It's across the street from a big hospital and across the street from the zoo as well. So we're just kind of making a little parking garage here. Made this little elevated sidewalk. Just kind of for looks. It's not going to be functional. And then we're just going to add a few little bushes and things along that line. You know, I've never made a zoo before. I'm pretty excited. And I decided to make a zoo downtown, which raised a lot of eyebrows. A lot of people on Sloop John Island weren't exactly sure how a zoo downtown was going to work. How was the city going to make this happen in such tight real estate? Well, the answer to that is pretty simple, and that is a lot of terraforming. But that's really it. Now, if you've been paying attention to the channel, you might have noticed we have a new episode, a new show, a new series called Almost Live. Almost Live will serve as kind of an in-between my regular episodes, and it's a Let's Play format. And on episode 2, we built this oil district on the edge of Fern Valley in downtown. But maybe that wasn't a wise decision, and there seems to be some environmental impact on some of the animals coming to the zoo. The press is not happy. The oil company's not happy. They lost some land that they could have made more oil fields on, and neither is this koala bear. Nobody's happy about the zoo except me and you, hopefully. Thanks for being here. So we're going to start off today by doing some terraforming. Am I saying that wrong? It sounds like I'm saying terrorforming. Terraforming is, of course, a great 1980s rock band. Terror. Or maybe terraforming is a great 1980s professional wrestler. Not exactly sure. The terraforming we're doing here will help us have a little bit of extra land, and we'll have to do a little bit more as we go, as I was wanting to squeeze it in kind of tight. I have not done much terraforming on this map, and that was by design. I kind of wanted a challenge. I've said that many times in some of these areas, building downtown the way I did, having the canals and all that, have definitely made it challenging. But I kind of wanted to squeeze this zoo in over here and just kind of use the rocks that were already there, which kind of inspired me to have like a cool rocky feature that we'll see a little bit later. And then also allowed that water to kind of stay in there, that little piece of the ocean that's just kind of flowing in allows me to build this bridge, a little walkway, pedestrian path. Now, this is something a little different for me in some ways. For one, like I kind of mentioned earlier, this is my first zoo. I think it's actually my first zoo ever, even on my first map that I lost the save to somehow. There was not a zoo. So this is my first zoo, and also something that makes it different is this is going to be mostly vanilla build. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not having to use mods. Obviously, to make a lot of this, you need prop and tree anarchy, road anarchy, things like that. But I'm not using many assets from the workshop. I'm actually using a lot. Now, this one is from the workshop. No, actually, though, that's a vanilla plaza. That's the zoo plaza. But I'm using mostly things that you're going to find on the zoo downloadable content. Probably better known as the Parklife downloadable content. Came out way back in 2018, eons ago. A very good downloadable content, probably one of my favorites, and it adds a ton of parks to City Skylines that you can use in multiple ways. Remember, any park that you add is just going to make your Sims happier and improve their quality of life in your city. And a zoo is part of that. There are many options on that Parklife DLC, so check it out if you'd like. But the zoo part is something I haven't messed with, and I'm excited about getting it going today. The cool thing about these zoo exhibits where the animals are is they have a lot of them have paths already built in. The flamingo habitat there that we built with the little pond has the paths built in, so you just connect your pathways to it. This one does not have pathways built in, and oh no, go away. Flamingos are flooding. Another good headline. All right, it's gone. Yay. So yeah, this elephant habitat does not have the pathway built in, but that's okay. We're going to actually build a little pathway around it. So I picked this little area of land because I like these rocks here that came with the map. This is Two Brothers Island by Sidai, and I kind of wanted to build around those rocks, use them as kind of like a focal point for the zoo. I somewhat accomplished that, but I ended up having to put in some different rocks. I couldn't really keep those rocks exactly where they were at. A lot of these take up a very big amount of land. As you can see, that elephant enclosure is huge. This one here is actually the lion's enclosure. It's a pretty good size enclosure as well, but it does have the pathway built in, so that kind of helps. got a nice little bridge there across, a little walkway across the path. As for the lions, do not actually go in there and try to walk across that bridge. So this place has some tremendous views, not only of the ocean, but of downtown Sloop John Island. So it's a very scenic zoo. And that was by design to be down here in the middle of everything downtown. A nice little tourist attraction, if you will, but something that the locals will also enjoy being at. Here I'm kind of making a pathway, trying to make this pathway in between these rocks. I end up having to get rid of some of these rocks and then replace them once I kind of get my pathway figured out. But don't worry, the rocks are going to come back. See, told you. So these rocks actually are like buildings on the game, so they do not sometimes they do not cooperate exactly the way you want to have them cooperate, but that's okay. We have these very large boulders here. They also act as buildings. They're a little bit more cooperative. They do not sink the ground around them, so you can kind of sink them into the ground however you want. However, they do not work with procedure objects. I'll put a link in the description to these rocks that I use. They have the moldy grass on top, I guess you could call it, and they look really cool, and there's lots of shapes and sizes. There I just put in a little public restroom. Gonna add some palm trees. There's also a souvenir store across from that public restroom. You have to have souvenirs if you're gonna have any sort of zoo or amusement area of any kind, so you can maximize the amount of money. But in our case, it'll help the zoo become a 5-star amusement area sooner rather than later. I actually kind of like the front of that rock being flat. Let's take this souvenir store. We'll just actually put it in here. Just move our path. Make it look like it's carved into the rock, like they just carved the gift shop right into the rock. Just kind of do some path adjustments there. Yeah, I like how that looks. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to continue this pathway. We're going to kind of curve it around the side of this terrain where we've done our terraforming. I decided not to put a key over here, and you'll see what I end up doing, but I was debating on extending the quay that went down the side of downtown. I mean, as you might recall on a previous episode, we built a oceanside park over there that turned out really cool. But I decided not to extend that quay. I just felt like this would look more natural with some additional rocky terrain around it. So we will be doing that with this little peninsula area. Now I'm kind of adding a little bit of land so I have room for this big oceanfront exhibit. This is where you're going to see the dolphins. I'm not really sure why there's a boat out there, but those little green pods are kind of like viewing areas. And this will be kind of like a good place to put it at the tip of the zoo over here. We'll just kind of extend our pathway. One thing about the vanilla pathways, most of them on the game are a little bit elevated. So you have to kind of play along with how you set up your buildings. They're not exactly going to always connect properly. They might look a little wonky here or there, but that's okay. I don't want to connect that to that. I want to just do it like that. We're actually going to end up making like a little bit of a giraffe overlook here in this part of the zoo. But you can kind of see the paths are a little bit elevated, so when you use your decals, you have to kind of finagle with them and move them around, because the decals will actually go up on the side of the sidewalk, and it kind of looks funny. Something, you know, people talk about City Skylines 2. City Skylines 2, when is it coming out? You know, I don't know if City Skylines 2 is going to be the best thing in the world. This game is so heavily modified and just constantly getting better and better with the community attributes that I don't know if there's going to be too much more to do, but one thing that I would love to see is better adapting between decals and surfaces and roads and things like that, where, if you make a little subdivision community, connecting like driveways and stuff like that. It's very difficult to do, very time consuming to do. If you're a detailer like myself, it's very time consuming and frustrating. So as I alluded to earlier, no key, but I've put a ton of different little rock formations around here. So I think this gives it a more natural look. It gives it a more zoo-ear look. We're just kind of going through and adding lots of props and vegetation to the sides of this. But I really like how that looks. I think that looks better than just using a boring key. And it looks a little bit more natural. And again, using some of these boulder rocks. I just love these rocks. They look so great. And the fact that you can sink them in the ground rather easily. These rocks are by GreyFlame, and there is a big collection of titles, water-friendly rocks. Basically just saying these things can sink into the ground and you can use them for similar situations to what I'm using them for today at the zoo. So we have our giraffe habitat. We have the monkey building. That's what it's called. That's not the monkey building. This is the reptiles and insect structure here. Just move this fence just a tad here. I did go ahead and put a fence around this entire zoo. This is a private property, but not only that, I want to cut down a little bit on the noise pollution that this zoo might cause, more so for the actual animals themselves. The animals are not happy. Can we take a second and listen to some of these animals? I have no idea what that last thing was, but if I find out, I'll let you know. Maybe my City Skylines 2 wish list will include more realistic animal noises. Some of them are not bad. It's like they took stock footage from a movie and just put it in the game. Oh, I'm just giving them a hard time. They're millionaires. What does it matter? Probably from people like me buying every one of their downloadable content. So lots of these little areas of the zoo that do not have anything as far as habitats or gift shops or anything like that. We're just kind of adding a little bit of fluff here or there. You can't really go wrong when you have some places when you're detailing that you don't really have enough room to put a building, but you also need to put something there. You don't want just an open space, and you can't really go wrong with adding in additional vegetation. There on the right you see that large tree with the curb. I've put those around the zoo as well. And now for something that I love to make. We're going to make a large water feature here and kind of make this look like a natural part of the zoo with these rocks. So this one rock I'm using as my main focal point there has a really large tower kind of at the top, and then on the back side it actually has a little tunnel thing that we put the path through. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make a large waterfall, and this will be a nice little overview when you're going over that little pedestrian bridge there. I'll just add some little prop plants along here, like so. So my idea here was to just kind of make a real grand entrance, something that would be really cool if you were walking into the zoo, to kind of set the tone for that jungle vibe, I guess you could say. And this rock just looked perfect for this. So we are using these waterfalls that are by Ryuichi Kaminogi. If you like these waterfalls, like what I'm doing here, I actually have a waterfall how-to guide. So check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. I have several how-to guides, including a fast food how-to guide, the pretty recent one that's been very popular. Been happy with the views on that one. So check those out. I try to make some easy to follow tutorials, although I don't know if I achieve the easy part sometimes, but I try anyway. So these waterfalls are great, and they also are procedure object friendly, so you can stretch them out, lengthen them, widen them, whatever you want to do to make a perfect waterfall setting. Now, these rocks, we're actually using some prop palm tree looking things around the fronts of these rocks because they are not exactly, well, you can't really put the trees up on top of them, which is kind of confusing because you would think with the tree and prop anarchy, since you can put trees on buildings, but they actually, trees still kind of lock to the surface of the map, so no trees are really tall enough to work with this. But yeah, I like how that turned out. So here I have a second entrance, a second gate. This is kind of like an employee parking spot, I guess you could say. So we're just going to kind of tweak a few of these fences along here. We'll move our trees to kind of adapt with that. And we'll just add a few more bushes. Now here I'm going to put a parking lot in. We'll just roll that down here. Although we did build that parking garage across the street at the beginning of the show, doesn't hurt to have some additional parking here in downtown Sleep John Island. And with that, the zoo is open for business, and we are out of time. Hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed building it today. Downtown episode 28 is in the books, and Sloop John Island just got a lot more popular as far as tourists and several locals are concerned, unless you work for the gigantic oil industry over in Fern Valley. You might not be too happy about this zoo nearby, but I'm happy with the way this turned out, and I hope you're happy too. Well, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more ridiculous content, and we will see you next time. I'm This Old Gamer. Bye-bye.